over the Chargers. He looked good out there. So does head coach Kyle Shanahan now have a quarterback controversy on his hands heading into the season? Take a listen.
Just open the camp saying it's Jimmy's the starter, not an open competition, but obviously everybody's competing. Has anything done much to change that dynamic as you go into the third preseason game?
No, I haven't seen that. You know, I would love for it to be more and more each week, but, you know, I think the situation is pretty similar right now.
Are you going to make an announcement? Is Jimmy Garoppolo your starter week 1?
No, we're not making that announcement. Let's try though.
Yeah, A for effort. Hey, take a look at the numbers here. Trey Lance, a little more inconsistent, but those splash plays already showing up. So let's play a little draw in a blank here. Nick, I'll start with you. The 49ers quarterback battle has been blank.
Well, let's start the week off with a quote from the greatest character on the greatest show ever, Calvin Bodie Broadus. The game is rigged, yo. The quarterback battle has been rigged. Listen, folks, Jimmy G is going to start week 1 almost no matter what, assuming there is no injury or disaster, because the Niners need him to be listed as a starting quarterback in order to keep his trade value somewhat alive. The moment they go to Lance, then all of a sudden, your ability to get a really good second-round pick and something for Jimmy G probably goes away because the whole league knows you're moving on from him 100% after this year. So I don't think this has been a fair, open competition. I think it's been rigged. And by the way, I understand why they're doing it. It's not a criticism. I think it's just the reality of it, because you have seen enough to me, Coach, from Trey Lance to know, obviously, his upside's far higher than Jimmy G's, and they signaled that when they traded 3 first-round picks in order to get him. So for all those reasons, I think if it's a fair competition, Trey maybe wins, but it's not a fair competition, so I think it's going to be Jimmy G. I think the thing's been rigged.
Yeah, you're right. It's been rigged. It was rigged ever since Trey Lance was drafted. But it's not rigged in the way that you're thinking, where they're trying to maintain trade value whatsoever. I think the process has actually been well managed. When you look at what they traded away and the fact that there's been no pushback from fans, from Jimmy G, from the media about the fact that Jimmy G is still listed as the starter, even though we know that Trey Lance is coming in quick. There's been no pushback from the fact that Trey is going to have a role every single game in a package of plays. Nobody said, well, you know, is that going to affect Jimmy G as a starter and his performance? And then there's been no pushback in the fact that a true starter, hasn't been named, and that's very rare too. Everywhere else, usually there's a lot of clamoring for the head coach to make that decision and make it by now. So I think this has actually been extremely well managed on the part of the 49ers. Even last night's game, Jimmy G has the most Jimmy G drive going. 16 plays, you know, he has 3 completions and an interception. But to start the season, it's probably better to have him in there while Trey continues to learn. He gets meaningful snaps in a role, still helps the team win, and there's general harmony across the board.
General harmony.
See, I agree with that, Coach, and I will try to be inspired by you and get general harmony, because there is a take out there percolating on social media and on TV that gets down into the bowels of my soul and upsets me. And it's when everyone says, oh, you got to start Trey if you want a deep playoff run. When everyone knows that Jimmy G was literally in the Super Bowl, you don't need to start Trey Lance. He might be a good player. He is the future of the 49ers, but Jimmy G can bring you deep into the playoffs. Jimmy G, can you bring you to the Super Bowl? Because he literally did. He literally did. It's not a take. It's just a fact. Okay, so Mr. 22-8. My answer is Week 6 preview. When you look at the 49ers schedule, we are going to come back to this is the quarterback controversy at Week 6. Why is that? Because Week 3, 4, and 5, you're playing Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. Now, if Jimmy G struggles, I think, although you have said it's well managed, Coach, there is going to be a rising drumbeat of like, man, We just got beaten by 3 teams with their main quarterback, 3 great quarterbacks. We have a temporary kind of like substitute teacher here. We know where our future lies. Let's start Trey Lance against the Colts. Even though the Colts have a monster defense, Nick, I think that we're going to have another quarterback controversy coming at week 6.
Well, and if they are trying to goose Jimmy Garoppolo's trade value, those first, while weeks 3, 4, and 5, those are potentially good teams. I don't know if I believe in the Cardinals, but certainly weeks 3 and 4. Those are 5 straight mediocre to bad defenses. I know Dan Campbell's got those guys out there eating kneecaps, but I'm not that worried about them. The Eagles stink. The Packers are a mediocre defense. The Seahawks stunk last year, and the Cardinals are not a great, well, we'll see with some of the additions. I don't think the Cardinals will be a great defense. But why? My God, man, you've got to get over the Super Bowl. Did you see the pick he threw? Because I know the Jimmy G apologists out there, can we show it again? I'll be like, oh, Brandon Ayuk, come down with it. It's a wide open, easy pitch and catch that's high and long, and because of that, it ends up getting picked. Could Ayuk have caught it? Yeah, maybe, and then possibly gets lit up. But your whole fascination, this guy led his team to the Super Bowl. The last 3 prior to Brady, NFC Super Bowl quarterbacks are the great list of Nick Foles, 3rd stringer, Jared Goff, just traded him away plus a pick to get off him, and Jimmy G. Maybe making the Super Bowl does not necessarily mean you're a great quarterback, Wilds. So no, you got to get over it, man. Jenna, I mean, week 1 this year, that has to be done. You have another 2.5 weeks. But week 1, we've got to be done talking, he made a Super Bowl, Coach. We got to be done with it, Coach.
Knowing what we know about Kevin Wilds, not going to be done. Not going to be done. We just know this is going to go on another whole season. By the way, 20 days until the Niners open the season against